Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Conversations with the Soul. My name's Rita Hickman, and I'm a body-mind expert and shiatsu massage therapist in Northern Illinois in the Chicagoland suburbs. And we do Conversations with the Soul every Monday through Friday, starting between 8:15 and 8:30 in the morning, depending upon technical difficulties. And good morning, Michelle. And so we cover topics that have to do with how to become whole. I specifically work with women. Good morning, Mariana. I specifically work with women, and I help us look at the world in a different way. The beautiful thing about watching a video every day or listening to an audio every day is that the new ideas start to plant themselves in your subconscious. You start to relax, and your conscious mind moves out of the way, and you can plant a seed for a whole new belief. So one of the biggest things that we're doing with Conversations with the Soul is, good morning, with Conversations with the Soul, is to help people move from, especially women, move from the beliefs and the mindset and the idea that they were raised with, either from a difficult childhood or from society or whatever it may be. It helps us move from the child mind or the girl mind to an adult mind. And it's a really elegant process. Good morning, Lisa. It's a very elegant process where we have new ideas come in, and our subconscious starts to change our reality, starts to change our mind. So really, all you have to do is tune in, is watch these videos and these. Well, I'm glad you joined us anyways. Thank you. It's a very elegant way to plant new seeds in our brain and to change what's going on, because in our world, we're constantly bombarded with all the things that we should be doing, all the goals we need to be accomplishing and successes we need to have, and all that we need to do with everybody. We're constantly bombarded with that. And in reality, we change our life. Our life changes as a side effect to changing how we think. So we're always evolving, we're always growing, and when we let ourselves be exposed to and immerse ourselves in new ideas, then they find a garden to grow in, and we start to watch our life change. Because our life changes because we interact with it differently, because we have different ways of, good morning, Victoria. We have different ways of whether now we set boundaries, or now things don't bother us, or our triggers go away, all of those things. So thanks just for watching this video. You're going to start changing how you look at the world. So we've been talking about soulmates for the last week and a half. And to do a quick recap, soulmates are people who come into your life. And good morning, Michelle. Soulmates are people who come into your life, and they bring up the most vulnerable and the deepest parts of you. They bring up the fears and the angers and the misunderstandings. When we don't process through something, when something happens to us and we don't understand it, like when we're a child, we tend to compartmentalize it and put it in its own little box. And when it's in that compartment, it gives us emotions. It causes us to react in certain ways, either with anger or, good morning, Linda, either with anger or with fear or insecurities or detachment, whatever tools we tend to use. Soulmates bring up all of those feelings and patterns that we were trying to avoid, that we were trying to ignore. And so in actuality, it starts to make decisions for us. When we decide we're going to avoid something that's painful or something that's difficult, it's now ruling our life. We don't have a good balance between the rational mind and the emotional body. Now we're just letting our emotional body make all the decisions for us. And that's really not a very grown-up, that's not a very good adult or woman way to live, is to just be reactionary and let our old issues and our old fears control us. So soulmates, whether they be happy or sad, easy or challenging, They're able to get past all of our defenses and bring up all of those feelings or thoughts or ideas that are still making our choices for us, that get in the way of us growing up, get in the way of us becoming the whole person that we're looking to be. So soulmates are really great to get you from, point A to point Z. They're an adventure, they're a ride, they're a journey, they're an experience. There's something that they aren't necessarily easy. They take you on all of these ups and downs. Good morning, Mark. They take you through all of these ups and downs and fights, and you become the person that you never thought you'd be, and you delve into these darkness. So people may wonder, what's the benefit of having a soulmate? What's the benefit of helps you grow? We only see ourselves when we look at other people. We don't know who we are until we come up against something who we think we are not. So come up against a person who we think we are not. And soulmates get close enough to us that we get to face all of those fears and all of those things we didn't understand. And it can be quite the challenge. And that's when a lot of people give up with soulmates. A lot of people give up on soulmates when it gets hard, when there's fighting and anger and frustration. So where's the payoff? The payoff for soulmates comes, good morning, Lisa. The payoff for soulmates comes when you start to become more of a whole person. When you become somebody who you've reclaimed all of these aspects of you that you've hidden away. And maybe you've explored different dark sides of you, or different aspects or personalities that you never expected to be. The neat thing about soulmates is that they bring out the best in us and they bring out the worst in us. Someone once explained to me that whenever we're in a soulmate relationship, that person becomes every man or woman we've ever met, and they're like no man or woman that we've ever met. So soulmates become everything that we project upon them, as well as something very uniquely their own. And it challenges us to look at ourselves. So how do you survive this process of soulmating? It's tumultuous. It makes people mad. It could be your president. It could be, the person on the street corner. It could be the person that you're living with. So how do you survive all of this soulmating, and personal growth and development that soulmates bring us? Well, you start to, as you go through this process of being in relationship, and as you stick with it, as you choose to stick with it, then you start to learn your coping skills, the balance between, let's say, meditation and caffeine, or a balance between chamomile tea and going for a walk. You start to gather and develop all of the different tools and coping skills that will help you move through this transformational experience. So soulmates are really transformation. It's transformation that's on the ground, boots walking through the mud. That's what soulmates are. It's about how we go from a childlike mind that might be filled with images from the media, from our imagination, from books, to adult mind that really understands what's expected of women, or what's expected of a mature relationship. So the payoff for soulmating happens because you learn how to move through life more elegantly and more gracefully. And you also learn how to take care of yourself, how to get the things that you need to nurture. And you also develop this heightened level of empathy. Because when you've been both victimizer and victim, when you've been bullier, someone who bullies and the person who's bullied, soulmates bring out all of those dark aspects of ourselves, and they almost give us permission to play with them and explore them. When you're in a soulmate relationship, you see yourself doing things you never thought that you would do. Maybe walking out the door and slamming it, or maybe finally speaking your truth, or saying it in a tone or a way that you never expected. Now, some people might look at that as something to be ashamed of, as something to feel guilty about, that we brought forth these aspects of ourselves which are darker or unkind or don't fit what we'd like to be. Those are part of being human too. Those are part of being whole. You can't understand how someone can make choices that they've made or do the things that they do until you've walked in their footsteps, until you know what it's like to be lazy, until you know what it's like to be angry, to be unkind, to be hurtful. And a soulmate relationship gives you these opportunities and this freedom to explore all these different parts of you. You don't have to be a mask or a facade or a metaphor. You get to be a whole, real person. And that's the payoff of working with soulmates. The payoff is where, as you go through this process and as you, investigate and explore parts of yourself that you never thought you would, that almost you never wanted to, as you explore these parts of yourselves and you find how to survive and you find how to navigate, all the things you were most afraid of, when you do that, you evolve as a person and you develop the ability to be happy. You develop the ability to find peace. A lot of people look at their life as they get older, it's spiraling down. They don't have the same strength or the same charisma or abilities. They feel like they're getting old. When you do soulmate work, you don't get old. Good morning, Ro. When you continue to do soulmate work, you don't get old. You don't age in the same way because you have gone through the fire. You've learned how to live a full, rich life, how to find peace in the most difficult of circumstances, how to walk away when you need to. Good morning, Rita. How to walk away. Oh, and good morning, Princessa. So you learn how to survive and survive in a graceful way, because soulmates give you the fire of reality. They give you the fire of life. And when you get to the other side of that, the person that you are is someone that nobody wants to mess with, that nobody wants to get in the way of, and they respect you and they value you because now you're a person to be reckoned with. You're not afraid of anything because you've faced your deepest fears. You aren't conflicted because you know who you are and you know what you believe. How do you know? Because you've defended it and walked through it and explored all of the options. This is how you become a better person. You don't become a happier, more peaceful person by hiding out in a cave and meditating all the time, or only surrounding yourself with positive people that don't challenge you, or by only reflecting love and light on the world. I once did this great blog, and it was on gratitude. And it was how, it's a really great first step to do a gratitude list or an attitude of gratitude. But that stuff never really resonated with me. I think because I'd been through a lot of hard times when I was younger. And because of that, I learned gratitude happens naturally because you know where you've been and you know where you are. And because you know you can never go back there. You know you can never be that person that cowers, under a table or under the blankets, or that is frightened by someone who gets angry, or who defends oneself by self-sabotaging themselves. You become a different person when you do soulmating, when you take the challenge and walk into these relationships, knowing that you're going to learn something really beautiful about yourself, even if it's hard, even if you're tired. So the payoff is you become somebody that other people want to have relationships with, that other healthy people want to have relationships with. And then you're able to, that's almost, when you go through the soulmating process, that's when the rest of your life begins. It's kind of like the topic of enlightenment. When you talk to people who say that they've been enlightened, that, they've discovered something about themselves, that's when the journey almost begins. Good morning, Robin. Because now you're at a place where you can see the world in a bigger way. And now you're making choices not based on old tapes or old emotions. You're making choices because you're coming from that deep part of your soul. You're coming from that quiet place that gives you information and guidance. Because you've integrated all of those unexplainable beliefs, all the things that trigger you and upset you, and you've integrated them into your whole self. You don't change. What happens is that you evolve. You don't lose all of the things of who you are. Instead, you become bigger. You see the world in a bigger way. You don't lose the lessons. You don't lose the joy or the peace or the things that you love. What happens are the fears and the insecurities drop away when you go through the soulmate process. When you allow yourself to walk through the difficult things with the difficult people and look at yourself and figure out how to survive and figure out how to get to the next day when your heart's being ripped open, or when you're scared beyond belief, or you're ready to walk out, or when you're cold and you don't care anymore. When you stick with those things, when it's not a dangerous situation for you, and it's with the person that you want to do this with, you learn about what it's like to be a real, whole human being. Somebody who respects themselves and loves themselves, because you know what it's like to be the villain and to be the hero, to be the perpetrator and to be the victim. You now know what it's like to be on all sides of that coin. And now you can look at the world and you can look at people not with that judgmentalism. Good morning, Kathy. Not with that judgmentalism, but with that empathy and that understanding. And you're not delusional. You don't walk into a situation thinking, oh, well, this person will be perfect, or this will work out great. You don't walk in with only a happy-go-lucky attitude. You walk in with an attitude that's realistic, that says, you know what, this person might disappoint me. How am I going to handle that? How am I going to work through this? This person might turn out great. Let's take a chance. You don't box yourself in anymore, because you know what it's like. You can look at somebody and have a better understanding of why they do what they do. You can have more compassion and empathy. And if you haven't learned by now, compassion is the balm. It's the salve. It's the thing that helps your heart not hurt so much. When you can have compassion for another human being, you yourself don't hurt so much. Because that compassion you now can use for yourself. When you develop compassion for other people, you also develop compassion for yourself. And your life gets easier, and you're gentler with yourself, and you make smarter choices. So when you have to forgive, and when you have to care about someone who has hurt you in ways you never thought, you never imagined somebody would. And the people who hurt us the most are our soulmates, because they're the ones that can touch us in the most vulnerable way. When we forgive the unforgivable, it means that we can forgive ourselves. It means we can forgive all the times that we were the person that we didn't want to be, and that we were out of control and we made the wrong decision. So soulmating, at the end of the day, the real payoff is that you love yourself, is that you have compassion for this human journey, and that you don't waste your energy getting so angry and so frustrated because you don't understand. Because, good morning, Julie, because when you understand, when you really understand what it's like to be that person, to go through that process, nothing can ever really bother you again, because you've gone through the fires. You've gone through the pain and the suffering and the things that were waiting for you to work through and to deal with, so you could create the life that you wanted. So soulmating has tremendous bliss and it has tremendous difficulty, but the real payoff is on the other side, Because if you have a soulmate with somebody who sticks with you and sticks with the journey, you create a relationship that's that can stand anything that happens, because you know what it's like to forgive. You know what it's like to have compassion, and you understand the other person so well that there's really nothing they can do to hurt you, because you know it's not about you. And you've learned how to adjust and how to deal and how to navigate when difficult things happen, sadness or hurt or pain. That's the payoff. The payoff is you become the person you've always wanted to be. And because you're that person, your life changes as a consequence, as a side effect. It's not about changing the person that you're with. It's about exploring all the different versions of reality, all the different versions of you. And when you know who you are to the core, when you know who you are, then life changes, because you look at it entirely differently than you ever did before. And then actually, you don't need to do a lot of soulmate work after that. Things will come up, but they won't bother you as much. Now you get to spend your energy on movement and activity and dreams and goals. You get to stop wasting energy protecting yourself or searching for something, and use your energy to really create and make a big impact on the world. So that is why you soulmate. I'm so grateful that you joined us today. If you love this, go to inspiremassage.com and sign up for a daily email so you can get replays and inspirations. And on Friday, I've collaborated with Meet Your Suite, which is a soulmate transformation online program. And so I'll tell you a little bit about that on Friday. I'm excited about the work that they do, and I'm excited how it makes it a very easy path to do this evolution, to become the person that can create and have the relationship that they wanted, and to find the soulmate that they want to spend the rest of their life with. So thank you, and have a great rest of your day, and I hope you stay warm. It's a little chilly here in Illinois, about 50 degrees, and that's why we're inside today. So I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.